can't believe it's been 2 weeks already.
2 weeks back cruising from Sanford to Savannah.
All right, let's fill you in on some of the adventures so far.
Staying on the path that I've chosen, straight up. Come my way and I'll see you at the top. 'Cause something's gonna happen in this story, and I can feel it coming, like the rising of the sun. Straight up.
Ooh, so we left Sanford, Florida, what had been our kind of nomadic port for the last 4 years. We left it there on April
24th.
Yes, there we go.
Just basically 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And it has been a very eventful 2 weeks. It feels like a month or two.
We're used to the past times that we've done, or the past time that we have done this transit. We did take months to do it.
Yeah,
Very slow. We took long stops along the way.
We had a month in Brunswick Landing was like a big stop, and we definitely took our time. This time we're trying to speed up the schedule to get to Charleston, where we'll officially be resuming our Great Loop and getting back to new miles north. So it's been intentional that we've been going fast, but it's also been fun to be more focused on let's have cruising adventures.
Yeah, and trying to find new adventures along this route that we have now done twice. And of course, St. Johns, we've done multiple times.
Yeah. The trip down, I'm just going to bring you up to date, is we started off with the St. Johns River, of course, because that's the only way to get from Sanford back to the Intracoastal Waterway is up the river, down the river, heading north to Jacksonville, and then connecting back to the ICW.
So we decided, on past trips doing the St. Johns River, we've had done many videos on this in the past. So if you want to see some of the beautifulness of it, we have explored many anchorages along the way, usually taking a week to 2 weeks to do the transit between Sanford and Jacksonville. This time we did it in 2 nights.
Yes.
The only other time we've done that is when we were getting to Sanford at the start of the pandemic. So we did the first overnight just behind Pontoon River, which is on the Dead River, one of our favorite anchorages of all time. Back at anchor.
Wow, it's been a lot. So excited to be out on the water again. Behind Pontoon Island, beautiful. It was a great day stop to get from Sanford to there. And then we did the next stop. We did of course we stopped for some swimming at Mud Spring and then shrimps at Shrimperus and Malacca. But then we stopped for the night after a long cruising day in Palatka, which is another town we love to get ashore, go running in. So we got a running day. And
the Ravine State Park is there, which if you've never been to, it's kind of like the Grand Canyon of Florida. It's an actual ravine in Florida, but they have a great trail around the rim of it, and so we ran that
7-mile run. Not bad.
We got back aboard, and then another long cruising day into Jacksonville. We did one stop in Green Cove Springs because we needed a new propane hose, and there's an Ace Hardware near the Governor's Creek anchorage, so we got ashore.
It's kind of nice to be able to just pull into an Ace Hardware with your boat, and because our grill hose had sprung a leak, and of course we want to be doing a lot of grilling, so hey, there's an Ace. Pop in, dinghy ashore, pop into the Ace. It's very convenient when we find retail that is boat accessible. So thank you, Ace and Green Cove Springs.
Yep. So then we anchored off of Baptist Medical Center in downtown Jacksonville. This is between the Acosta and the I-95 bridges there in downtown. It's one of our favorite anchorages as well. You get these gorgeous lights from the bridges at night and the sound of the city and the trains going by. It's just always, and dolphins. There's always dolphins in that anchorage, except for that one time we went up there to see dolphins specifically.
Yes. And so, this is a beautiful place. You're surrounded by the city lights. You're right there by the Riverside Art Market, which has a free dock that is open on the weekend. So we went over and did the Riverside Art Market and had lunch. And, we didn't really need to restock our veggies at the time. There's a great farmer's market and arts market there.
And from there you can get to the Little 5 Points area, so lots of restaurants and shopping and things to do there. There's even a Publix there, so if you do need to do a grocery stock up, that's good. And then there's also at the YMCA right across the way is a free public dock that is now available for up to 72 hours of dockage. And right across from there is a whole bunch of shopping as well, including a grocery store.
So great place to be in Jacksonville, easy to get ashore. And we took advantage of it. We went ashore and went to the Symphony, which is one of our favorite things in Jacksonville. We saw just an absolutely stunningly beautiful performance at the Symphony that just wow. Yeah.
So we always enjoy the Jacksonville Symphony when we're through. We always try to line it up with a performance if we can. And then Sunday morning for Sunday Run Day, we did some what we're calling run exploring or run seeing. I haven't decided which word we're going to use for this.
Cherie said that she was interested in doing a half marathon distance, and so I plotted out a route using the river walk on both sides of the river, and then down into what was that cool neighborhood? I guess, kind of south of
Marcos.
the San Marcos neighborhood, and just Jacksonville is a kind of a runner's paradise. It's got just so many beautiful places to run and a great running community apparently. And so yeah, we had fun, and I worked in a stop at Smoothie King for somewhere around mile 10 to replenish with a nice smoothie. So it was actually a really fun way to run, keep a nice slow pace, and explore and sightsee and cross all those bridges over the river.
Yeah, so we did all the bridges back and forth. Went down to where the old Metropolitan Marina was, which used to have free dockage and power there, which is now closed down. They're building a Four Seasons hotel there down by the stadium. But we did run down there and saw one of the old popular boating stops.
Yeah.
And then we looked at the tides, because when you're doing the St. Johns River from Jacksonville back out to the ICW, the tides are very strong. They call it very strong currents. So you want to time your departure with the tide going out. Mm-hmm. And so we looked at it's starting at 5 p.m. this evening. Let's just ride it out this evening. So Sunday evening, we decided to ride the current tide.
Yeah, so we were thinking we'd go anchor at Sisters Creek Anchorage, which is basically where the ICW crosses the St. Johns River. So it is tends to be a very popular place. And because there had been some pretty rotten weather, it was a lot of people who were cruising outside were waiting it out there. So we got to that anchorage, and it was packed full.
It was more packed than we were comfortable with.
We could have squeezed in. It was
I didn't feel like it.
But we're we're back on the loop. We want to find someplace isolated. So we took a chance and went down to basically right to the Sunset Point, cruising northward on the ICW. And we found a creek, Broward Creek, which was a beautiful little creek off the ICW that we had to ourselves, and anchored and celebrated being officially back on the Great Loop, back on the ICW route.
Not resuming our loop at this point, but back on the loop. So we did a live broadcast. If you want,
spontaneous,
a little 12-minute live broadcast if you want to go back and see that. But yeah, so we had a nice evening at anchor. Saw sunset there. The morning was a little bit rough with the wake because all the
you're not very far from the
So we got an early morning departure because we were getting waked there. We're getting used to being waked again because we've been in really protected waters down in Sanford. Yeah. Very spoiled.
This is getting back to our sea legs and getting used to having giant sport fish boats going by and not slowing down for anchored boats and leaving you like this. And
so we got waked.
Beer falling out of the beer fridge and the typical boat things. And
we got waked a couple times on our transit that day, which we made into Fernandina Beach, which last summer we actually went and visited. We did a trip off from Sanford and spent 3 months out cruising. So we went up there and had spent some time there for 4th of July last summer.
Yeah. And so our goal, one of our prime goals in Fernandina Beach was to refuel. And there's a place called Port Consolidated that is kind of a big bulk fuel supplier. I think they're one of the cheapest diesel ports on the southeast coast. So we wanted to refuel. And I
think we paid $3.42 a gallon there. And they don't charge, if you are going to
North.
Georgia next, they don't charge state tax there, which is pretty cool. So we filled up there, took on 230-ish gallons.
And that was another time of getting used to our sea legs, because the docks there, we timed it for a fairly slack current, but there was pretty strong currents there, but there was actually a very stiff,
20 mile per
hour winds blowing us off the dock. So we're not used to docking and in winds, and
it's been a while since we've docked anywhere else but Sanford, so it was a little challenging. We looked definitely like novices.
It's okay, we got get our sea legs back. Okay, fine, and then we had a kind of an unpleasant experience in the anchorage there too, with some other long-term kind of the sailboat that looked like it'd been there for quite a while, yelling at us for anchoring too close.
We anchored. We were clearly at least 300 feet away.
We were 450 feet away from them.
Verified on our radar, and
they were unhappy.
So the guy comes over in his dinghy and politely asks us, "Hey, look, I have 180 feet of scope out, which is far more than you need there.
The water's 18 feet deep.
Yeah, so he was set up for storm scope, which maybe he was always
maybe he's
there
prepared, for a long time
whatever.
or something. But
and politely asks if it says we were too close. I said, fine, we'll move. No problem, dude. No problem. And then his partner on board, she just starts yelling
From
obscenities.
400 feet away, she's just yelling about us being obnoxious, blah, 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 cursing us out. And it's like,
Wow.
what?
This
This is welcome back to boating. Thank you,
Yeah, so
friendly
the day was
people.
annoying, just getting used to being waked again with people just not doing slow passes and just
Windy, blustery weather.
bad docking experience. And actually, the guy at Port Consultant says, "So how do you guys dock at marinas?" I'm like, "Oh, dude." I'm like, okay, And then getting yelled at. So we moved to the little river behind that main anchorage. Had a night to our own, just decompressed. And then it was kind of rough that day, so we didn't even go ashore. It was too long of a dinghy ride and too rough.
Too rough on the water. And so it's just a reminder that the life on the water is ups and downs and ups and downs. And we've had so many great days in a row. It's like, okay, we have a down day.
And I think a lot of it was because this is like day 4 or 5 since leaving Sanford. And there's always this whiplash effect when you are what I call ripping off the Velcro of the familiarity. Is, that like, okay, you went through all the motions, you got all the preps that you've been making, you've been doing everything to make this transition, whatever, it's a new job, it's a new schedule, it's, a new chapter and phase in your life. And for us, it's resuming active cruising and leaving what has become a comfortable home base. And I think that all just kind of caught up with us, and all these little things, they just kind of compounded, and I was in a grumpy mood.
Oh yeah, and it was just kind of we'd had an exhausting schedule and done a lot of cruise planning and a lot of boat projects and stuff, and so we just took a day to decompress and then went ashore the next morning. It was much calmer conditions. Went ashore, we had a nice run, had some great food out, and then crossed over into Georgia to Cumberland Island, which is kind of a little slice of paradise to reground in the magic of being at anchor and cruising and a friendly anchorage. And
well, good morning. We are anchored off of Cumberland Island, an amazing stop for any cruiser who's going through this area of the country.
Yeah, it's a national park. We used our national park pass and spent 2 nights here. Got some running in, and we didn't go swimming because of a lot of jellyfish this time around, but we've had an amazing time swimming here in the past. And we're about to head out and cruise up some of the shallowest waters in Georgia, heading to Jekyll Island.
So we're timing it at high tide and also trying to time it at slack tide when we get to Jekyll Island, because it's so much easier to dock when there's not currents to deal with, and we're still getting our sea legs back. So we're doing an early morning departure, sun rising right over there over the Atlantic Ocean. And this passage will take us through the St. Andrews Sound, which hopefully we're timing it with weak winds and a slack, and it shouldn't be that bad, but it can be very rolly and swelly with big waves. Last time we went through it heading northbound, I was at the helm and it was a little scary.
Yes, but I think we'll do just fine, but fingers crossed.
And then, next up was a new stop for us was Jekyll Island. Now, we've explored Jekyll Island by car before when we stayed in Brunswick, but this was our first time actually docking there. So all up to this point, we'd all been at anchor, free anchorages. And we're not like budget cruisers where we necessarily have to anchor. We just love anchoring out. We love the seclusion and everything else about it. But being at dock sometimes is really nice.
Particularly a place like Jekyll Island, which is an island optimized for biking. It is biking, the whole island is covered with bike trails. And so we were really excited to put our bikes to use and get ashore on Jekyll and go explore by bike, which we did.
Going ashore with our bikes. Pretty exciting.
Jekyll Island, gonna go explore. Boat's right over there, easy docking. St. Andrews Sound was a breeze this morning.
No breeze.
It was still breeze. It was not a breeze
this morning.
Which is a good thing.
Yes, it was nice and calm. Oh,
good crossing. Let's go explore.
So we booked 2 nights there at Jekyll Harbor Marina, which has just phenomenal reviews, and they've definitely earned them. Friendly staff, great, nicely maintained.
They have a pool, so we also have
Pool
to
and
use
a hot
the
tub.
pool, hot tub. We don't have our own hot tub, but yeah, it's nice to have somebody else's hot tub. Biking, and we've got to run in, of course, too. You know, hey, this is and we had a great time on the island, and we actually met up with
Sue and Mike, so longtime followers who are kind of settled in the area right now, sailor and van
life people. So yeah,
and we had a lovely evening with them, dinner, and having a board for drinks on Why Not. And there's a market on the island. There's restaurants. There's a great restaurant right there, Zachary's Riverside, right at the marina. There's just friendly staff. Beautiful island if you've
Great
never
place to
been
stop.
there.
Great place to stop and get ashore, and we had a really good time with that. And
and we had another random blog follower. I love it. You know, if you do see us out in public, we love it when you stop and say hello. I know it can be intimidating sometimes, but we do love it. It just tickles us to know that in some way
somebody has been
watching along and
been
it's
inspired.
So it keeps us inspired to keep doing this. So don't come and just knock on our door. Don't plan to come and see us. But if you see us out in public, don't hesitate to say hi. We'd love it.
Yeah.
And so thank you. Thank you for saying hi.
Right.
So we had a lovely, lovely time in Jekyll Island. And then all along this time, we've been keeping in touch with our friends Anne and Elliot, our first blog stalkers turned friends
From
like 2009.
Yeah, from way, way back. Yeah. So yeah, they were following along in our early days, and we've been friends ever since.
Dear friends. I call them family.
Oh yeah.
And they have a sailboat, and we have rendezvoused with them in the past. You might remember some meetups with them in past videos. They had some days available to come down to meet up with us. So we had coordinated to anchor together off of Sapelo Island, another place we had never been.
Yep,
in their cruising ground.
Kind of a remote little piece of Georgia coastal paradise that is only accessible by ferry for the very small community that lives there.
And you need an invitation to get on that ferry.
The ferry is kind of only for organized tours, residents, or people who are doing research at the University of Georgia has facilities out there. And but cruisers can come ashore at the ferry dock, and the locals are very welcoming. And so we came ashore as a group. We went out and saw the lighthouse.
We went more running. They're also runners and bikers. So
and so we had a good time with them. But mostly we spent time together in the anchorage, and we hosted 2 dinner parties in the middle of absolute nowhere.
And game nights. We had lovely game nights. Yeah. It's just always such a pleasure to catch up with those two and hang out with people that we've known for so long.
And it's kind of crazy. It feels really special to be in the middle of absolute nowhere and hosting friends and being social and still having, people say, how are you going to get your run in? How are you going to be social? How are you going to do all these things? So far cruising, we have not had much trouble with all these things. The thing we did have trouble with, though, was as we came into this part of Georgia, was the flies.
So you get exercise all underway.
Yeah, actually, I probably am getting some exercise points. As long as I don't stop moving, they can't. Oh my God! They can't rip my flesh open. Nice, relaxing morning up on the fly bridge, which now we know why they call it a fly bridge.
Just a few flies. Not as many as the other day, but.
Ow! Yeah, this is we might end up cruising inside.
It's magical. You should come out here and enjoy this too.
Yeah, sometimes you get to just sit and relax on the top deck, and sometimes it's all about the swatting. Ow!
Oh my gosh, these I've heard them called greenhead flies. We're seeing all up and down the coast loopers complaining about them. There's these flies, they're very sizable, and they bite. And I remember this from our last cruise, right around Wolf Island. We pick them up, and they just swarm the boat. They love to hang upside down on the top of the bimini.
And then they love to come up the shorts of the pilot of the boat and fight them in nether regions. And yeah, you basically do a dance to try and keep from having them land on you, while the gunner, the weapons officer, swats all around the person driving.
We eventually just gave up on being out on the outside helm.
They call it a flybridge for a reason.
Yes, it is a flybridge.
We said, it's yours. It's named after you. We're
Go
done.
take it.
We're going to drive from inside, which we've never done before. But it was
Well, we
actually,
did in like in a storm once.
Yeah, but like very rarely. We just said, this day we're riding inside. And it was nice. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, so we hung out inside, out of the sun, and out of the flies, and just continued our cruise there, because we did, after Sapelo, we did a 52-mile nautical mile cruising day.
Up to the Skidaway River right outside of Savannah to get staged. And again, more flies a lot of that day. So we just drove from inside.
Yeah, so it was lovely getting used to that, which apparently we're going to need to get used to here ahead. We'll bring up to that spoiler alert.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a Turtleneck Bend off of Skidaway River, where we anchored for the night right off the ICW. Lovely, enjoyable evening, great sunsets there. But the reason we wanted to be there is it was about a 2-hour cruise up the Savannah River to downtown Savannah from there. And this was kind of the culmination. Something we've been looking forward to a long time is docking right downtown Savannah.
Yeah, this is one of the things we love about cruising, is that, a lot of big cities, particularly historic cities, developed around their ports and their riverfronts or their waterfronts. And Savannah is one of these classic cities that this is like the main cotton exportation place in history. So, the Savannah riverfront is beautiful and historic. We've been there as land tourists before, but now a chunk of the Riverwalk is boat dockage for small boats, and used to be actually a free dock. Now it's officially $1.50 a foot.
Which for our size boat, 47 feet, comes out to $70.50 a night with electric, which, you know what? We saw parking for vehicles at $70 a night in the hotels on the riverfront. So, that's pretty darn cheap to
and I'm sure the
right
hotel
downtown.
Rooms looking down on us were not
$70 a night.
Yeah. And you are literally right there. You have the street vendors and the musicians and all the tourists walking right in front of you. You hear the hustle and bustle of the city. You just step outside for walks, runs. We took our bikes ashore and went, actually, it's a 1.5-mile ride to a Kroger to restock. A great Kroger with wonderful bike parking,
and dedicated bike lanes to get there. So it was awesome.
And Savannah's just it's one of those really special cities. It just feels like this really cool, artistic, fun vibe. I guess it revolves around the Savannah College of Art and Design, which is, I guess, the heart and soul of the city. And we got to explore some of it. And it's just beautiful to be there.
It was great. And we had another rendezvous with longtime followers, Miranda and Jeff of Nomadic Trek RV. Had a lovely evening hanging out with them. We had some delightful Indian food.
And then
right downtown Sanford.
And then Leopold's ice cream, of course, which is
Sanford, Savannah.
Savannah's tradition since like the 1910s or something. And it is delicious ice cream. Definitely worth standing in line for. And Savannah was great. And that kind of brings us almost up to date, because we left Savannah yesterday, but it was slightly eventful.
Yes, it was eventful. We will bring you up to date later once things are resolved, but just know we are okay. We think that we are just fine to get to Charleston, where we have parts awaiting us, and YouTube University to help us fix it.
There's the little tease of the drama of the next episode, so we'll save that for our next update, which we'll probably film sometime.
Yeah. So we'll do another segment probably from here to Charleston, and then we will be officially resuming our great loop where we left off once we leave Charleston.
So you're up to date. We're cruising. That's a lot of stuff in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh.
2 weeks.
So
I thought it was just be one episode from Sanford to Charleston, but I was already starting to forget stuff that we'd done. So
yeah. So let's sit down. We've had a rainy morning, big storms going through, so we've just been sitting at an anchor. Let's film before we cruise today. And so that's that.
No clue where we're going today. Just north. That's all.
We're going to go north and follow the dolphins. So see ya up the waterways.
We create these videos just for fun, and we love having you along for the ride. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, or if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. See you next time.